Welcome to National Gun Trust's ATF eForm 1 video walkthrough guide. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going over the ATF eForm 1 for a gun trust, corporation, or other legal entity applicant. Our ATF eForm 1 video walkthrough guide will go over page by page for a gun trust, corporation, or other legal entity applicant. In order to start the ATF eForm 1 application, you will need to have registered your account on the ATF's eForm website. If you haven't done so yet, please do so before continuing with this video. There's a link to our ATF eForm's website registration video walkthrough guide in the video description below. Step 1. Logging in. You will need to navigate to the ATF's eForm website by going to the URL https://eforms.atf.gov, or depending on your browser, you can navigate to simply eforms.atf.gov. The page is divided in half. The login area is located on the right side of the screen. You will enter your user ID that was emailed to you by the ATF when you registered for your account and the password that you used at the time of account registration. Then you will click the blue login button. You may see a spinning icon at this time, and this is normal. Step 2. Starting your eForm 1 application. In the middle of the screen, you will see the available forms that can be used using the ATF's eForm website. Scroll through the carousel of forms until you get to the first green form named Form 1 ATF 5320.1. Double-click this icon and your form will start to load. Once loaded, you will be able to check the appropriate applicant type and start the application. In this case, for a gun trust applicant, you will select the Trust Radio button and click Next. Screen 1. Form 5320.1 page. This screen will display the intended use form and the special instructions. Filing as a trust or other legal entity instructions state, in addition to providing the documentation of the existence of the trust or other legal entity, the applicant must electronically provide a photograph and completed ATF Form 5320.23 NFA Responsible Person Questionnaire (RPQ) for each responsible person. See definition 1.e on the instruction page of the trust or legal entity. When filed via eForms, when in the responsible person function, the applicant will identify each responsible person and attach the photograph and a scanned, signed RPQ from that person. All photographs and RPQ forms must be attached to the application prior to submission. The fingerprints for each responsible person must also be submitted. As for an individual applicant, the fingerprint cards must be sent to the NFA division. The eForm system will email a cover sheet to the applicant listing the names of the responsible persons and is to be printed. The cover sheet and the fingerprint cards for all RPs must be mailed in one batch to the NFA division within 10 days of filing the application. Please note that the F5320.23 NFA RPQ form is available in a fillable version on the ATF website, www.atf.gov. The form can be completed and printed for signature and scanning. We will then again click Next to advance to the next screen. Screen 2. Application page. This screen is where you will indicate that you are paying the $200 tax to make an NFA firearm. You can leave the control number box empty and click Next. Screen 3. Applicant page. The applicant page is where you will indicate your information as a gun trust applicant. The title of the submitter of the application for a gun trust applicant will be Settler, Trustee, Grantor, etc., depending on your gun trust. The trust name will need to be your gun trust name. Your country, address line 1 and line 2, zip code, +4 for the zip code. City, county, state, telephone, and email address should all be automatically completed. If you're making a firearm at a different address than what is indicated, you can type that in here as well. The zip code will automatically complete your county and state, but you will need to select the city from the city dropdown. It is also worth noting that the +4 for the zip code is not required, and click Next. Screen 4. Responsible Persons page. On the Responsible Persons page, you will enter your information as an individual. Normally, you will start left to right, completing each column one at a time. There are 22 different columns that you will need to go through. The last column is UPIN. In order to see that last column, you may need to use the scroll bar that is located at the bottom of the table or zoom out to see the columns. This depends on your browser. The columns are self-explanatory, so we will only briefly describe them and common mistakes for the columns where applicable. Box 1. Citizenship. This is your current citizenship. Box 2. Cadence. This is your cadence if you have one. For example, junior, senior, second, third. If you don't have a cadence, you can leave this box blank. Box 3. Title. This is your title. Common examples for a gun trust is settlor for the trust owner and trustee for the co-trustees, etc. Boxes 4 through 8 should already be completed based on your account information. Box 5, middle name detail, can cause an error. If you wrote your full name in Box 6, you will need to change Box 5's default initial only to full middle name. If you have no middle name, you can also select no middle name from the drop-down in Box 5. Box 9, Form 5320.23, will be where you will upload your signed, dated, and scanned ATF 5320.23. You can select Choose File to navigate to your signed ATF 5320.23. This file can only be a PDF file, but must be under 3 megabytes in size. While your ATF 5320.23 is uploading, you may see a spinning clock that indicates your ATF 5320.23 is being uploaded. Box 10 will be where you will upload your digital passport style photo. You can select Choose File to navigate to your digital passport photo. This file can be a JPEG or GIF file, but must be under 3 megabytes in size. While your passport photo is uploading, you may see a spinning clock that indicates your photo is being uploaded. Box 11, Social Security Number. This is your Social Security number and isn't required. However, entering your Social Security number will aid your background check and is recommended by the ATF for that reason. You won't need to include the dashes. Box 12, Zip Code. This is the zip code of your address. When you write in your zip code, Box 13, State, and Box 14 should be automatically completed. This may trigger the spinning loading icon and may say fetching data while loading your zip code. If for some reason they aren't automatically populated or there's an issue, you can manually fix Box 13 and/or Box 14. Box 15, Street. This is the street number and street name of your address. Box 16, Date of Birth. This is your date of birth. The acceptable format is month/date/year. There is also a calendar and clock icon next to the field that can be used to open up a date picker to select your date of birth. Box 17, Birth Country. This is your country of birth. Box 18, Birth State. This is your birth state. If your birth country is not the United States, then you aren't required to enter a birth state, and this box will be grayed out. Box 19, State of Residence. This is your current state of residence. Box 20, Sex. This is your sex. Box 21, Race. This is your race. Box 22, UPIN. This is your UPIN. If you don't have a UPIN, you can leave this box blank. If you need to add more responsible persons, you will select the Actions button located above the table and click Add a Responsible Person. That will add another row in the table. You can then enter in the information for your responsible person, like you did for yourself. Once completed, you can scroll through the table to verify your information was entered in correctly. If you need to upload a new photo, ATF 5320.23, you can do so at this time. After you have verified your information, you can click Next. If you have missed one of the 22 boxes, you will receive an error before navigating to the next screen. You can then update that column and then proceed to click Next. Screen 5, CLEO page. On the CLEO page, you will enter in your CLEO information. The agency or department name is the CLEO's agency name or department. For example, Cooper County Sheriff's Office. The name of the agency official will be the CLEO's name. The title of agency official is the CLEO's title. In our example, this will be Sheriff. We will lastly fill in the mailing address of the CLEO. You will need to write in the mailing address of your CLEO and the zip code. When you enter in the zip code of your CLEO, the state, city, and county field should populate based on the entered zip code. You don't need to enter in the +4 for the zip code. That isn't required. Once this is completed, we can click Next. Screen 6, Line Item page for an SBR. The line item page is where we will add the firearm that you're going to make. In this example, that is an SBR. You will start by clicking the Add Firearm button located above the table and to the left. This will load a new window where the information from the firearm will be added to the eForm 1 application. We will start by typing in the manufacturer. In our example, we will be using Palmetto State, but you will use the information that is engraved on the firearm. The drop-down will start to load while you are typing, and you may need to wait a few seconds to load the manufacturer options if the site is running slow. You will select the manufacturer from the drop-down and then click Verify Manufacturer. After your manufacturer has been validated successfully, you can click OK in the new window to proceed. We will then select the manufacturer country and click Next. The second screen will load the firearm details. Unless you are making an 80% lower, then you will use the information that is currently engraved on the firearm itself. We will click the product type drop-down and select short-barreled rifle. You can also select other types of firearms that you're going to make from the drop-down that isn't a short-barreled rifle. Once the short-barreled rifle drop-down is selected, this will then load the available models based on manufacturer that you selected on the previous screen. You will select the model that is engraved on your firearm. If you select a generic model, for example AR-15, and the engraved model on your firearm is actually different, then your application will be denied. In our example, we will select Freedom 15 because that is the model engraved on our example firearm. Then we will be able to select the caliber and unit of measure from the drop-downs. If your firearm is engraved, multi-cal, then you will need to select a caliber that you intend to make from the drop-down. If your caliber isn't in the drop-down, then you can select My Item Description is not in the list, Create New Item. But note, when this box is selected, your application will go into the pending research phase and will need to be manually reviewed by the ATF, which can extend the timeline for your application. The length of barrel will be the length of the barrel of the SBR that you want to make in inches, not the current barrel length. The overall length will be the estimated overall length of the firearm that you are making in inches. This is measured with the stock fully extended and any removable muzzle devices removed. For the length of barrel box and the overall length box, you won't need to write in the word inches or the symbol for inches. Just the numerical value of the measurement will be sufficient. You will then, lastly, write in the serial number from the engraving on your firearm. The description box can be left blank. If you want to add description details, you can. You will need to state why you intend to make firearm. The most common examples are investment and all other lawful purposes or all lawful purposes. Other reasons may be valid, but those two are the most common. Then you will click Next. On the third screen, you don't need to upload an electronic document on this page. But on this page, you can look to the right side and under the blue box labeled Step 3. Below this, you will see the line item summary. This is a great way to review that everything you entered on the previous pages are correct. Please take a minute to verify that your information is correct. If this isn't correct, you can select Back and make the necessary changes. If your entered information is correct, you will then click Finish. You will then see the added firearm as a line item in the middle table. If you notice a mistake with the information of your firearm, you can select the paper and pencil icon located to the right of the serial number to make any changes. After you have reviewed the information from your firearm and confirmed that it is correct, you can select Next. Screen 7. Electronic Documents page. Trust. The Electronic Documents page is where you can upload additional documents that are relevant to your application. This is most commonly used for corporations, trusts, and other legal entities. Since you are applying as a corporation, trust, or other legal entity, you will need to upload the corporation, trust, or other legal entity documents. In this example, we are applying with a gun trust. Please note that documents that you upload on the Electronic Documents page are limited to 3 megabytes in size. You can click the link in the description to view our Shrink Your NFA Gun Trust for eForm upload service that can help you compress your gun trust to be under the 3 megabyte size. To upload the scanned copy of your notarized gun trust, you will select the Choose File to navigate to your scanned copy of your gun trust. You will select the corporation, trust, or other legal entity from the drop-down. In the description box, you will write in your corporation, trust, or other legal entity name. Then, click Add. You may get the spinning icon or spinning clock while your document is being added to the table. This is normal. Once complete, you should see your corporation, trust, or other legal entity document in the table. If you're planning on using a 24-month exception, you can upload that here in lieu of uploading your corporation, trust, or other legal entity paperwork. In that case, you will choose File to navigate to your scanned 24-month exception letter. You will select the 24-month document submission exception from the drop-down. The description will be your corporation, trust, or other legal entity name and 24-month exception after that. Then click Add. You may get the spinning icon or spinning clock while your document is being added to the table. Once complete, you should see your 24-month exception document in the table. If you need help with creating a 24-month exception letter, you can view a link to our 24-month exception letter generator in the video description. Once your corporation, trust, or other legal entity document or your 24-month exception letter is in the table, we can click Next. Screen 8. Certify page. The Certify page is where you will need to certify, pay for your application, and sign and submit your application. If you didn't select the My Item Description is not in the list, Create New Item on the Line Item page, then you should see a green check mark stating that the application has been validated successfully. If you did select the My Item Description is not in the list, Create New Item on the Line Item page, then you should see a yellow triangle stating that the model or manufacturer that you have indicated is either unknown or is not listed in the ATF reference tables. ATF will have to validate the information that you provided prior to rendering a decision on your application. This may extend the average processing time for this application. Both will allow you to proceed if you don't have any application errors. If you have any application errors, you will also be told this here with red links to the pages that need to be fixed. If you have no errors, you can select the radio button Next Certify. Next, you will need to click the Pay button. This will open up a Pay.gov pop-up that you will use to pay for the $200 tax stamp. If you have a pop-up blocker enabled, you may need to disable that in order to view the payment window. You will need to follow the steps in the Pay.gov pop-up that are self-explanatory. Once your payment has been submitted, you will see a window indicating that your payment has been successfully submitted, and that you can now close the payment window. This will then allow you to click the Sign and Submit button. You will lastly need to confirm your submission by typing in your ATF eForms account password. After you click Submit, you may see the spinning icon at this time while your application is being submitted, and this is normal. Mailing instructions. We will now discuss the ATF eForm 1 mailing checklist. After submitting your application to the ATF will email your cover sheet and your ATF Form 1. If your application had a yellow triangle on the Certify page, then your application will start in the pending research status. This means that your ATF Form 1 that was emailed to you will be watermarked draft, and the cover sheet won't have a valid control number or serial number. In this case, you will need to wait for the ATF to review your application. Once your application is reviewed, the ATF will change your application from pending research to submitted. At this time, you will receive another email from the ATF with your ATF Form 1 watermarked submitted and a valid cover sheet. This will be the time that you will be able to mail your cover sheet, fingerprint cards to the ATF, and mail your CLEO paperwork to your CLEO. This can take the ATF up to 150 days to change your application from pending research to submitted. If your application had a green check mark on the Certify page, then your application will start in the submitted status. Your cover sheet will have a valid control number and serial number. The below items will be sent to the ATF after you have received a valid cover sheet from the ATF. The valid cover sheet. 2 fingerprint cards for each responsible person named within your application. You should mail your cover sheet and fingerprint cards to the ATF with shipping method that offers a tracking number to ensure that your package was delivered. You will only have 10 business days to have your fingerprint cards and cover sheet to be delivered to the ATF. Your application may be denied if the ATF doesn't receive your cover sheet and fingerprint cards within the 10 business days. The below items will be sent to the CLEO that you named within the application. The CLEO copy of your ATF eForm 1 that was emailed to you. The CLEO copy of the ATF 5320.23 Responsible Persons Questionnaire for each responsible person. The CLEO copy doesn't require a passport photo. You won't need to send any FD 258 fingerprint cards to your CLEO. You don't need to ship the CLEO copy of the ATF eForm 1 and the CLEO copies of the ATF 5320.23 with tracking. After your cover sheet and fingerprint cards are received by the ATF, your application is considered to be submitted. Once approved, the ATF will email your application tax stamp to the email address from your ATF eForm account. The ATF won't send you a physical tax stamp. This completes the ATF eForm 1 Gun Trust Corporation or other legal entity ATF eForm 1 video walkthrough guide. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any further questions, you can email us your question using the link in the video description, reach out to us on Reddit using our account u/National Gun Trusts, or by simply leaving a comment below.